welcome back to the Historian's Vanity. Today I'm going to be doing 3 looks with the Ace Beaute Oceanic palette. For those of you who haven't seen this palette, it looks a little bit like this. The packaging is actually really gorgeous. The box that this came in matched the same kind of design as well. It's like a very pretty gold foil on a darkest green packaging here, cardboard packaging, which is always nice as well. Inside we have a mirror up here, which is a good size, which is always nice, although I don't really think this would be a good travel palette for me because I need some neutrals if I'm in a rush, you know. But inside here we have 6 shimmer / metallic formula ones, and then we have the rest matte. I really like matte, colorful shades, so I was happy to see so many in here. And I had a lot of fun playing with this palette. I'll talk more about my thoughts and sort of review this palette a little bit at the end of this video. This is the last look I'll be doing today, but let's go ahead and jump into the first. All right, here we are. Got my palette ready to go. I'm going to take a Morphe 506 and take this olive green matte shade called Seaweed here. I'm just tapping out my leftover Shape Tape concealer on my eyes here since it had creased. I'm just going to start drawing that seaweed shade into my crease here in a sort of semicircle shape to start. Just starting to lay that color down. This, of all the mattes actually, is, I would say, the least pigmented off the bat, but it does build up. But the rest of the mattes in here are very much like a little goes a long way, whereas this one, I did have to dip into the palette several times to get the kind of pigmentation I was looking for. I'm just going to run that underneath my lower lash line here as well, about halfway in. I'm just winging this out a little bit at the outer V area here as well. The shape I quite like, so. Just doing all that with a Morphe 506, my favorite brush these days. Just going ahead and deepening up that crease a little bit more, making sure that crease shade shows up when I have my eye relaxed, because of course I do have hooded eyes and a lot of the things I put in my crease seem to disappear if I'm not careful. I am going to go ahead and take the shade Turtle here, which is a dark true green basically, and I'm just tapping into that a little bit, using just a tiny bit of that on the end of my brush to deepen up the crease a little bit more and deepen out the outer V area and the outer half of my lid. This shade is more pigmented, so I was trying to take only a little bit on the brush so that wouldn't overwhelm the olive tone. I do wish if I could add more shades to this palette. I think a darkest olive would have really helped here, because the only color I have to deepen up Seaweed is to use another sort of tone of green. So I'm just going to go ahead and catch this other eye up here. Alrighty, refocus here. I am now going to go into this shade down here called Anemone. Anemone. It's the hardest word to say. I agree with Nemo. So I am going to go ahead and take this on my finger instead of a brush, because I had played with this palette a little bit before doing this look, and I had realized that these just don't work very well on a brush. So I just went ahead and went in with my finger. I find that the shimmers in this palette definitely apply best with a finger, and like I tried to do a cut crease with this beforehand when I was like practicing looks for this video, and it really just didn't work. I don't think these layer over very well over a concealer base. I think they work fine over a glitter glue, but they're not great over concealer. I just was not impressed with these shimmers when using a brush and doing the kind of like Instagram makeup way of doing things. So I went back to my roots and I stuck my finger in there. I'm just tapping that on over my lid here and then blending it into the mattes in my crease. I'm going to go into the other olive shade called Jellyfish here, and then I'm going to press that into my inner corner area. This one, the 3 at the top here in general, Bora Bora, Jellyfish, and Mykonos up at the top. These 3 shimmers have a little bit more of a flaky texture to them, which is nice on the eyes, but does make them even a little bit more, or a little bit harder to use. It just really does not pick up on a brush well, so again, I'm just using my finger here and tapping that onto my lower lash line, the first like third of my lower lash line here, and then into my inner corner. This Anemone shade, the shade that's on the majority of my lid here that I put on first, the first shimmer shade I used, is just a shimmer. It has a nice kind of glow here, you can kind of see the olive-toned glow to it, but it is very soft, not very glittery or textured, unlike some of the shimmers I'm more used to using, unlike the ones up here like Jellyfish that I'm putting on now. It just is kind of a smooth shimmer. It's not hypermetallic, it's not glittery. It's kind of basic, unfortunately, I think. But if you're going after softer shimmers, if that's what you like, then Anemone will be there for you. I'm going to take the shade Lagoon here, which is the darkest navy blue matte, on a Morphe 508 smudger brush here. And I'm just going to smudge this right into my lashes on my lower lash line here, and then up onto my top lashes as well. But really just concentrating this right in the lashes, right on top of the lash line here. Basically in the outer V, like the outer half of both the lower and top lash line, just for a little bit more dimension, a little bit more depth here, because I felt like this look wasn't very exciting all on its olive self, so I decided to add something else to try and give it a little bit of oomph here. This is definitely my favorite brush for doing work like this, by the way, that 508. It's super, super good. I'm going to switch back to a 506 though and just tap on a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of that blue shade, the same shade that I was just using, Lagoon. Just picking up a tiny bit on the edge of my brush, or the end of my brush, and tapping that over the very outer corner of my eye here. Again, just to add a little bit more depth and dimension to this look. I'm going to be done with the palette for now, and I'm going to go in with ColourPop's gel liner in the color Crossed, which is their neon yellow shade. However, it does get a bit of blue pigment from that color I put into my lashes into it, so it kind of turns into an olive green shade, which is perfect for this look, so an accidental match there. Again, I do prefer these gel liners in the little glass jars that they also come in, but this shade does not come in one of those glass jars, so I'm stuck with the pencil. I will be taking the NYX glitter primer here and dotting some of that on into my inner corner. I usually put that on the back of my hand, and then I'll take an e.l.f. $1 concealer brush, these little baby brushes from e.l.f., and I will use that on my inner corner area and also the first third, basically, of my lower lash line down here. All the areas I want to highlight with a very special product coming up next here. I am going to be using another one of these multi-chrome flakies from the company Beauty Bar Baby. I found them on Instagram. I saw someone else use some of these flakes, and I said, well, I'm going to have to get me some of those. And this is the other shade that I got. I'm going to put the name on the screen here of this shade because I don't remember off the top of my head. But they, again, you see them falling onto my nose here. If you sneeze or breathe near them, they would go everywhere. It's very, delicate operation, this, but they are so, so pretty and give such a glittery finish without the harsh feeling of glitter. They're very, very soft. They're basically just like meltable mica. It kind of softens and melts into your skin. Very comfortable to wear compared to glitter, and very easy to get off compared to glitter as well. Here it is with the lights turned down, so you can kind of see that multi-chrome shift. These ones are orange, yellow, and green, but it's just a really fun product. I can't wait to try more of them. I'm going to put on a thin line of my NYX liquid eyeliner here in matte black, of course, just as a base to put some false eyelashes on over. And then I will go in with Urban Decay Perversion Mascara and then Ardell 113 lashes that are trimmed down a little bit to fit. Or it's not that they fit better, they are actually a little bit short, but I just find them easier to put on when they're this length. Just take down my hair here, and this is our first look completed here with our Ace Beaute Oceanic palette, plus those Beauty Bar Flakies, which are really stealing the show here, just because that shimmer wasn't very exciting, so I thought I needed something exciting, so I added those instead. They are a super fun product. I really need to get some more shades of that stuff because they're super cool. Alright, for our second look here, I can't really decide what I want to do. I was going to try and have a green look to match my shirt here, but that didn't work out. It ends up being quite blue. I'm going to go ahead and take the shade Fiji, which is one of the lighter mattes in this palette, and start putting that into the first half of my crease here with a, again, Morphe 506 brush, my favorite brush. So I'm just putting that Fiji shade into the front half of my crease and blending out from there. Again, you can see this has a much higher impact perhaps than that first seaweed matte that I used in my first look. You don't have to dip in as much to get the same kind of payoff with this, so that's nice. It's nice to find pastel. It's always nice to find pastel shades that have good color payoff and aren't patchy. So I'm just blending that into the first half of my eye here. Then I will go into this more true blue pastel cornflower blue color called Bali and put that on the other half of my crease and eye here, winging that out softly at the edge again. I just really went with a wingy shape this week. That's what I was feeling, and so all three of these looks I kind of winged out here at the end of my eye. Just doing that softly with this brush. I kind of just take color on the end of my brush, go into my crease first where I want it to have most impact, and then blend out from there until I need to pick up more color, basically. Catching the other eye up as well here. And then I will go ahead and take some of that same shade, that Bali shade, on my lower lash line as well, just to help start laying color down there, and what we're going to put on top of it later, this will help it blend out down here, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Stunted. Trying to say in a very stunted way. You can see how that shape is winging out at the outside of edge of my eye there. It's not too bold when it's a lighter color like this. I'm just going to go ahead and layer those two shades, Fiji and Bali, on my lid space as well, just because I wasn't sure how pigmented the shimmers I was going to go on top of would be, so I wanted to make sure there was a base of color there. Again, I'm going to take my finger with these shimmers and go in first to the shade Mykonos, which is the more like dark seafoam shade here, and just put that on over Fiji on my lid, blending up into the matte as best as I can with my finger. And then I will go ahead and take Bora Bora and do the same on the outer half of my eye, just blending that up into the crease area and then tapping over the first shade over the center of my eye to blend those two shimmer shades together. You can see me just tapping over the shades here on my lid to kind of blend them together here in the middle. And there we are. I'm going to go ahead and go into the shade Blue Clam up here, which is a very bright kind of electric cobalty blue, and start tapping a little bit of that on the very outer corner of my eye, again with the Morphe 506 here, just to deepen that up a tiny bit and add a little bit more dimension to this look, a little bit more depth here. Same on the other eye, of course. I am going to be using the shade predominantly on the lower lash line here, so I'm going to start doing that now, taking that Blue Clam shade and just running it along my lower lash line here, making sure it blends into the stuff going on the top of my lid, basically. Then I'm going to go ahead and take another ColourPop gel liner here. I forget the name of this one. I will again put it on the screen. Just putting that in my waterline here. This is one of my favorite liners from ColourPop, so I'm surprised I can't remember the name right now, but yeah. I'm going to go ahead and take this Faux Whites pencil from NYX in the shade Minty, and I'm going to use this as a sticky base along the first half of my lower lash line here. So I'm just sticking this eyeliner on underneath my lashes here on my lower lash line so that the matte that I'm about to put on top of it will stick really well and be vibrant. And again, I'm going in with that Blue Clam shade on a Morphe 508 this time and just pressing that right into that eyeliner I put down as a base, just so we can get the highest possible brightness, impact, and longevity from this Blue Clam matte shade on my lower lash line. I'm going to go ahead and take this blending brush from Morphe here. I'll put the number on the screen and just very lightly make sure that that is staying blended along the very edge there, especially because I had put down a cream product for this to stick to, so it could easily have a harsh line, and then just going back in with more blue where I felt necessary, going back and forth between the blue and the blending brush. Then I will take that same Minty pencil and dot it into my very inner corner here as a base. I will go ahead and try and pick up this Mykonos shade on a small brush here, but it ends up not really working out. But here I am trying to be able to have more control and precision by using a brush, but these shimmers just don't really work well on a brush. And here I am giving up on the brush idea and just going in with my pinky finger to try and put that shade on the inner corner here. As you can see, it picks up quite well on the finger, and definitely this is the way it has the most impact. So I don't know why I tried using a brush again. I was just unwilling to give up, apparently. So just pressing that into my inner corner here. There we go, nice and shimmery. Here I am noticing I have fallout on my nose, which was unfortunate. I'm going to go ahead and take this loose pigment from ColourPop in the shade The Fish, which is like a seafoam glittery pigment here. Take a little bit more of that NYX glitter primer and dot that onto my inner corner here. And again, the first sort of lower third of my lower lash line. Tap into that pigment, and then I'm just going to tap that on top here for a little bit more glitter. I did indeed go in and add actual glitter afterwards. This is the Heavy Metal Liner from Urban Decay in Distortion, as I'm always using, and I'm actually painting that on about the first almost half of my lid here as well, just to add more glitter up there as well, because shimmer is all well and fine, but shimmer and glitter, in my opinion, is even better. Again, I'm going to be using my NYX matte liner for a base for my lashes, and then Perversion Mascara and 1/13. Once again, all the same. So I have learned that using tweezers to apply false lashes is my best bet of actually being able to get them on and to stay on. So how about some lipstick? This one again is What's Your Sign from ColourPop, and then I have one of their blurred lipsticks that I got in a sample. I'm not even sure this has a name on it. It's just like a very nude pink kind of blurred color, and I'm just using that to pinken up my lips a little bit, and then I'm just brushing around the edges with my finger to really blend that in. Very diffused lip here. But here is the second look. It's a little bit more like seafoam and glittery and unicornish here, and doesn't match my blouse at all, which is bad planning on my part, but what are you gonna do? Alright, here I am for the last look here, thinking, wow, what's with these dark circles under my eyes, huh? Oh well, I actually do like the camera setup and lighting here more than I normally do, but I probably won't be able to replicate it again. I'm going to go back into our palette, of course, here, and I'm going to grab the darker of the mattes, well, one of the darker mattes called Pacific on a Morphe 506 brush. Again, tap off some excess there and blend out my Tarte Shape Tape, which is creased a little bit here on my eye. I'm just going to draw this Pacific shade into my crease, as usual. It's almost like I'm always trying to put a matte in my crease first as a base. Funny. But you'll notice I haven't dipped back into the palette yet. This one a little goes a long way, and it's like probably my favorite shade in this palette, this shade Pacific. I really like the tone of this teal. I really loved wearing this look when I was finished, so this is something I'll definitely be wearing again from this palette. But I'm just taking that shade Pacific, putting it first into the crease so I get the highest color impact there, and then blending out from there. The shade blends quite well, all on its own for a dark shade. And I've put my mirror on top of a box and I'm excited about it. Here I'm just taking more of that same Pacific shade. This is what I'm going to be using for most of this look, putting it into the crease and blending out again. Just kind of repeating the same process in another layer, almost using this like watercolor to make sure that it stays blended instead of putting too much on to start with and then having to do too much work to get it to work. So I just would rather do this in layers as opposed to just go in all at once, I suppose. I'm going to take that same shade onto my lower lash line as well, again, with that same Morphe 506 brush. And I'm just winging that out a little bit, as is usual for this video. But mostly this look is just all of this Pacific shade everywhere, blended out, and then we're going to put the Mykonos shimmer on the inner corner, which I think turned out really pretty to have an all matte look with just a little bit of shimmer. Just blending that shade along my lower lash line here, trying to keep it darkest at my lashes, of course, and then blend out from there. And darkening up the outer V too. Just trying to create basically like a halo of this color all over my eyes. I am going to go ahead and take this blending brush again that I don't remember the number of. I'll put it on screen once again, and take the shade Fiji, the lighter teal in this palette, and use that to help blend out my edges of Pacific. Pacific, it does a really good job blending all on its own. You don't really need this Fiji shade to blend. I think you can see that the blend is just fine on the top, and I haven't gotten to any Fiji up there yet. But I just thought the Fiji shade helped give it more of a milky kind of blend. I don't know, added a little bit of white pigment in there that really like helped the smoked out fog look of this. I'm going to take a slightly misshapen Morphe brush here. This is a pencil-ish brush. I'll put the number on the screen once again. And I'm using this to put that Fiji shade on the inner half of my lower lash line here. Just wanted to keep it from getting too dark, so I wanted to use that Fiji shade in the inner corner and then my lower lash line for the first half down here. Just blending that into Pacific where they meet up and making sure I'm getting the kind of impact I'm looking for from this shade. Same on the other eye, of course. And then I'm going to go ahead and take that original Morphe 506 and the shade Pacific again and just tap and pat and spread that all over my lids as well. Just going to use this matte shade all over my lid. Now that I have it blended from the crease out, I can just put it solid on my lid as well. I do find that I prefer a fluffier, like a blending brush, to put mattes even on my lid like this as opposed to a flat shader brush. I don't know, I think that a fluffier blending brush holds matte pigment better than a flat brush does. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a true makeup artist expert here. I'm just a novice, a hobbyist as it were. Alright, I am going to go with the Morphe 508, little smudgy brush though, and really darken up this Pacific shade, really layer it on in my lash line down here. And on the top as well, just how I like to do, almost use this use a matte shadow as an eyeliner on my outer V here. And then again, switching back to the blending brush when needed and adding a little bit of Fiji if needed as well to just keep the blend I have going here. I'm going to take some of the NYX Glitter Primer and put it in my inner corner. Shocking, I know. And then onto the first, about third of my lower lash line as well, as I usually do, to be honest. I'm actually going to put my pinky into this as well and tap on a little bit of it over everything just so that it's not really, doesn't have a defined edge. It just kind of blends out the glitter glue even so that it can be really diffused once I tap a shimmer shadow on top of this. I am going to go back into the palette and go for the Mykonos shade. I don't know why I was shaking my head there. I'm just going to press that on over that glitter glue, basically. Everywhere I put that glitter glue down is where I'm going to put this shimmery Mykonos shade. I really like the way that these two shades play together, the Pacific and Mykonos. I think they're a great pairing. Just trying to be as precise as I can be with a finger here, but you know, if only it would pick up on a brush. I'm going to take this ColourPop gel liner in the silver shade. Again, I'm not sure what this is actually called. I'll put it on the screen. It does seem that they might be discontinuing these metallic ones of these because I got this one for Super Steel on sale on their website. So if you are in the market for metallic gel liners, perhaps go look now. I got this one and the gold one because they were on sale. I'm just taking this on a tiny little paintbrush. This is actually just a watercolor brush, not a makeup brush, and using that to put this silver on my waterline here. I'm just taking that from the jar onto the back of my hand, also to use my hand as a palette, as it were. A little fun pop of metallic in there. I wish they had a very yellow gold version of this, but the gold is actually a very mild gold. Of course, I'm going to go in with some glitter, naturally. I'm going to take the two shades from Urban Decay's Heavy Metal Glitter Liner here, of course starting with Distortion, my MVP glitter liner here. Ride or Die glitter eyeliner here. I use it all the time. I'm just going to put that over where I put that Mykonos shade, just so we can make it glittery as well. And then to tie in that silver liner, on my waterline, I'm just going to use a little bit of the shade Glam Rock, which is their silver color here, and just dot that on a little bit with a little bit of a lighter hand here, just because it's easy for this to, when the light hits it, it shines silver, but it does look a little bit darker, so I didn't want to darken up my inner corner in any way, so being very delicate with this one. There we are. I'm going to go in again with that NYX liner as a base for doing my lashes, as is typical of this video apparently. I couldn't decide. I thought maybe I might do a wing with this, but then I decided to just go ahead and keep with the theme and do a thin line, and then Perversion Mascara once again, and 113 lashes from Ardell once again. So, just keeping the theme here. There we are. I'm thinking, do I want to do a wing? No, let's just keep it. Perversion Mascara. I am almost out of this. And then the 113s once again. And just singing along to Lana Del Rey now, because, you know, Norman F. and Rockwell had just come out and I was into it. I'm feeling it. I'm still feeling it. Once again, I'll be applying these lashes with tweezers and thinking about how much I need a haircut. I like my bangs like at least a half inch shorter than this, but I'm not brave enough to go that far up on my own. Just popping these lashes on as best I can with some tweezers here. Tweezers. The key to doing false lashes, in my opinion. There we are. Just pinch those, kind of like use the tweezers to clamp my lashes and the false lash together. I feel like if I try and pinch it with my finger at this point, usually the lash will try and stick to my finger instead of my eye, and that is a huge problem for me. So here's the finished look. It's actually my favorite of the three. So, thoughts on the Ace Beaute Oceanic palette. I love the color story in here. I do think there are a couple of shades that are wanting for my full, like if I were to have the master blue-green palette, I do think there are shades in here that I am wanting. I would love to have a shade like Turtle that's a shimmer in here, just because the only like dark, I guess, dark moody shimmer in here is this one called Marina, which is more of a blue, and I'd like to have a dark foresty green as well to go with that shade, because you can get a quite dark green eye, like smoked out like this, with the Turtle shade, but I'd like to have a shimmer to match that. I've tried this one together and I don't really like it as much, so maybe even I would rather have that than this Bay shade, because this Bay shade, it's like a metallic, but like soft and not like blinding metallic. Both the shade Bay and the shade Anemone, they're both more of a subtle shimmer, I guess. They're like a traditional shimmer and not the kind I like. The kind I like are like that shade I used my last green look, that shade called Kubo, I think it's, or Kuba, from the Juvia's Place palette. That has a lot of like glitter and multi-dimensional shades and color going on. I guess I like something extra from a shimmer. I want there to be a duochrome. I want there to be some sort of a glittery or flaky finish to it. I like it to be a bit extra. And the other shimmers in here, these top three up here and that shade Marina, have a little bit more of a glitter or flaky thing going on. The Marina definitely has like a little bit of a glittery shade or glitter going on, and then these three just have a bit more of a flaky little something extra, I guess. But however, the thing about these, that even though they have that bit of a weird texture to them, is they don't stick very well. I think you have to use glitter glue with these shimmers. They're not my favorite shimmer formula, I will say. I have seen a couple other reviews of this palette, watched a couple of videos from my favorite YouTubers on this palette, and while some seem to have no trouble, others pointed out that the shimmer formula seemed weird to them, and I'm gonna have to go ahead and agree with that. It's kind of strange. It's not the easiest to work with. I think you definitely have to use your finger. It doesn't pick up on brushes very well at all. And of course with your finger you have less precision, so if you're doing something like a cut crease or something where you don't want any diffusion around the edges, it's gonna be harder to do with your finger. This just isn't my favorite shimmer formula. I mean, I really do like these two shades up here, Bora Bora and Mykonos, but I am just not in love with the formula. However, the mattes in this, I do really love. Like this color here, I love this like teal, this color shade Pacific. I would definitely call it like a Pacific teal, and it's very, very fun, and goes a very long way. So I really do like the mattes in here. I will use the mattes quite a lot, but I'm not sure I will be reaching for these shimmers quite as often. I might be combining this with other palettes to get the exact look I'm after in general, but I really do like the mattes and I like the color story. I'm just happy with this bright green because I'm always looking for more bright greens in my collection. This one's pretty good. They all swatch beautifully. Even the shimmers swatch really well, which just goes to show that just because something sticks to your finger and your arm doesn't mean it's going to stick to your eye or behave very well, because these shimmers, they're just a little bit weird. Like I can make it work, but it's not the easiest thing to work with. It's not like pop it on and go. This look, because I only used a little bit of that shimmer in the inner corner, was fine. But again, I did layer some glitter on top of that because these are just not the most glittery, epic shimmers to me. I don't know. I guess my favorite shimmer formula is probably Juvia's Place, because they just do what I want them to do what I ask of them, I guess. At least of the two Juvia's Place palettes I haven't played with a lot of their palettes because I only have two, of course. But that, and then like, I like ColourPop. But like I'm used to, I guess because for a long time I wasn't really into palettes in pressed shadows. I was using the ColourPop Super Shock shadows, and a lot of those are very glittery, so I'm just kind of used to a more glittery or metallic shine finish when it comes to shimmers, and that's what I like the best. So I like something with a little bit of glitter in it, and if it doesn't have glitter, I will add it. So there's that. I did not buy this palette. I actually was given this palette as a gift from a lovely friend, and she knows me super well and knows that I like bright, dark, moody eye colors. She's the one friend I have that understands the eyeshadow love. But overall, I do quite like this palette. I'm not sure if I would say if it's worth the money or not, just because I didn't pay for this palette. I didn't buy it. I can't even remember what the price is. I will put it here on the screen. In general, I'm happy to have this in my collection. Was super excited when my friend was like, I have a surprise for you, and she had just bought me this palette because she's just a really nice person, and it wasn't my birthday or anything. She just is super nice. So thank you so much to my friend for getting this for me. I've had a lot of fun playing with it. I know I'm going to use it a lot in the future. I got a little bit stuck halfway through these 3 looks, trying to find 3 looks out of here. I don't know why I got so stuck. I guess I just was feeling the pressure of doing 3 looks. I don't know why. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed these 3 looks, and I'll see you again here on the channel sometime soon. Bye. My hair is bothering me because I need a haircut. I need to get like a lot of it cut off, and I kind of want to go shorter in the back, even though it's not very vintage, but whatever. It's in the fall, I feel more alternative. It's just how it is. My style, I feel like, gets less traditionally vintage and more Blade Runner mixed with vintage, so it's kind of the direction I'm going in. I mean, obviously with this makeup, you can't go traditional vintage now, can you?